Do they need me to apply yet?
Well, right now they're still talking in Philadelphia, but they say nothing major has been accomplished. No strike news imminent that this may be settled anytime soon, but talks continue, and that's a hopeful sign. Negotiators continue to seek a peaceful end to a day that threatened violence. Gene Upshaw went into today's meeting in Philadelphia saying he would stay until an agreement was hammered out, and so far he's true to his word as talks continue. This afternoon, Oiler free agents were the targets of rocks and eggs from the veterans, and Paul Kaufman and Dino Hackett of the Chiefs rode shotgun on scab patrol. They said the guns weren't loaded. While the negotiations continue in Philadelphia, here in New Orleans, plans continue to assemble a football team of free agents, as Chris Myers reports.
Time to play ball, guys! Let's go!
Saints fans appeared to be just shells of their former self. You could see it all at Strike Central. Former Saints supporting those on the picket line.
No, I'm just down here visiting my family. We're on strike, you know. So I came home for a little while. Came by here to support my union brothers, that's all.
Fans unemployed and retired, walking the line to back the union. And fans who have had enough of their heroes and their games.
I got all these tickets. And y'all don't want to play football? Y'all didn't play Sunday. No, y'all didn't play Sunday. Y'all didn't went through the motion. So I'm going to go to the St. Ticket office at the Superdome. We'll turn them all in.
30 strikers manned different shifts awaiting those who dare cross the picket line. Tight end Mike Waters, who has been unemployed since training camp, said he needed the money. Are you crossing the picket line?
I think so. Financially, I think it's a decision I have to make. You know, I've got a family and mouths to feed.
Shortly after their lunch break, Saints players took their picket signs to the Quality Inn in Kenner, where free agent players were signing contracts and taking physicals. 45 players came to terms forming the new Saints. They'll be paid $450 up front and the NFL minimum salary of about $60,000 a year.
Minimum is something that, you know, we were happy to have. I mean, to make that kind of money and to make the kind of money that I was making, you know, doing what I was doing.
What were you doing?
I was selling cars for Benson.
I'm unemployed as far as playing ball, and I've got a shot to just do something here for a little while, and it's a temporary thing. They know once the strike's over, we're gone.
Tomorrow, the Saints B team will practice. The Saints strikers will picket. The Saints fans...
I'm out here to tell you what I feel about you. You should be working. Tell you what we feel about you. You're no different than a thief reaching in my pocket.
Will continue to be brushed aside in bewilderment. Chris Myers, Eyewitness Sports, Night Watch.
Earl Bruce coaches his 100th game at the helm of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Ball again. I was listening.
The Metropolitan Hospital Council of New Orleans presented
some heavy talks, and they haven't come up for air, and let's hope it leads to something good, because on the second day of the NFL player strike, I have already seen enough professional football picket signs, but then tomorrow, the free agent players will be in camp, among them quarterback John Fourcade, who told me no promises were made to him about keeping him on once the rosters expand after the strike is over.
No, I haven't got anything, any promise as far as if they did expand the roster that I would be considered. I'm just going to come in and see what happens, and hopefully they will say, hey, look, he did play well for us, and see what happens. But right now I'm just going to go in there, and hopefully I could help the Saints do something.
Worried about crossing the line and confronting the guys out there with the picket signs?
Well, if you look at it this way, you know, I'm not in the NFL right now. I'm not playing for the NFL, and I understand their needs and their wants, but if it was the other shoe was on the other foot, I don't think they'd be sitting around too if they got a phone call.
And on that subject, I want it understood now. I defend the owner's rights to hire free agents and for free agents to take their shots. If I've leaned towards the players, it's because I still believe they have the most personally at stake in this whole thing. As far as season ticket holders, yeah, I tried to stir them up because I really believe they're going to get real NFL football back a lot sooner if they're more active than they were in 1982. But the truth is, ticket holders probably identify a lot more with this old tune and the new words.
Who that say they want to play football? Who that say they going to win? Let's get all these contracts done and play some ball again. I was listening to my radio and watching my TV. I almost died because I couldn't believe what these dudes was telling me. But they're saying there might not be no football, but then again there might. It all depends on where the money goes and who's going to win the fight. Who that say they want to play football and who that say they're going to win? Let's get all these contracts done and some ball again.
Anyway, the only strike the LSU Tigers are thinking about is striking the Ohio State Buckeyes when they tee it up Saturday afternoon in Baton Rouge. But even Tiger coach Mike Archer knows the NFL strike has a way of seeping into college football.
Knowing the United States and knowing our population, they enjoy watching sports on TV, so you may have a lot more viewing on Saturday than what you do Sunday, naturally. I think this week it won't be quite as noticeable. I think if the strike continues, I think you'll see it more and more. I think you'll see some college teams, as has already been talked about, possibly move some games to Sunday afternoons.
College football is a very exciting game. It's very emotional. The kids are out there playing for their school out of their heart, not out of a paycheck.
Now in baseball in the National League East, how about them Cards? Let's check the highlights tonight. Cardinals playing the Pittsburgh Pirates. Nail-biter tonight is Junior Ortiz, bottom of the third.
The latest word is there's good dialogue, but no feeling that a settlement is at hand. Jack Donlin says the next 2 days are critical. If it doesn't get done in the next 2 days, it'll be a long one. Meanwhile, it was an active day for the striking Saints and their free agent replacements. The picket lines continued for Saints players in front of the David Drive training camp and in front of a Kenner hotel where the free agent players were being housed. For most of the free agents, it's a matter of economics. They simply want a job, and they'd like that job to be football.
Financially, I think it's a decision I have to make. You know, I've got a family and mouths to feed. And hopefully it'll never come down to us having to play a game.
If the shoe was on the other foot, I think they'd be doing the same thing we're doing. I'm not in the NFL, I'm not in their union, I understand what they want. But here's an opportunity for me to show what I can do again, and hopefully if they expand the roster and then they say, look, you know, we can play with this guy, and I don't know what's going to happen. I feel bad that I'm doing it, but it's a point where I guess a golden opportunity for me.
If they don't play any games, which I think they will, it's going to be beneficial for me because, like I said, I have the ability to play, and I'm not second-rate to anybody out here.
Oh, they can call me whatever they want. I mean, right now I'm just looking for a job, looking to get ahead, and you know, I think if they was out there in my shoes right now and you know, making the kind of money I was making right now, they would be happy to come and cross a picket line to make this kind of money. I mean, even the minimum. I mean, it's hard to, you know, where are you going to find the minimum salary that the NFL is paying, doing what you like to do.
As to the charge by the striking players that free agent football wouldn't be quality football, Jim Finks had a ready answer.
We'll be the judge of that. You know, I think some people could look at our performance last Sunday and say that wasn't a quality team either.
There were some verbal confrontations with heckling fans outside the David Drive complex.
Go, I make 15,000. No, you go.
Where you working at? Where you working at?
We will play. No, you go, because you're not striking.
Where you working at?
You striking. None of your business where I work.
Tomorrow, the free agents begin practicing while the striking Saints begin practicing themselves at Mike Miley Field, a block away. In the American League pennant race tonight, the Toronto Blue Jays were at Baltimore, and George Bell unloads his 47th home run, a two-run job. The Blue Jays hold on to the division lead. The 47 homers, the most by an American League player since 1969. At Boston, Detroit's Tom Brookins gets the Tigers rolling with a two-run double in the second inning. That's all the runs Doyle Alexander needed as the Tigers stay within a half a game of the Blue Jays. They meet in a four-game series starting tomorrow in Toronto. Scoreboard, 6-1 Blue Jays, 4-0 Tigers. Minnesota's about to wrap it up. They won and Oakland lost, so they're 5 games up. In the National League at Shea, a showdown series between the Expos and Mets. Expos lead 3-2 in the 6th, but Gary Carter delivers a two-run single. That put the Mets ahead, and they go on to win it. Scoreboard, and the Cardinals got beat by the Pirates tonight 2-0, so the St. Louis lead is down to 2.5 over the Mets. Padres and Cincinnati are tied at 4 in the 12th, and the Giants are losing again. They're on a little losing streak right now. It's 4-1 Dodgers last in the 2nd. Around the country today, Darrell Grant, the Washington Redskins defensive lineman, broke a couple of windows in a bus, bringing the free agent players in. In Houston, the striking Oilers threw eggs and rocks at the free agent players, and in Kansas City, they brought a couple of shotguns on the picket line, but they took them away right quick. They said it was a joke, some joke.
That doesn't win a lot of fan support, I tell you. Thanks a lot, buddy. Coming up next, the celebration of a major religious observance.
Tonight, Jews began bringing in their new year. Stay with us.
Do I miss cocaine? Well, I don't miss being broke all the time. And I don't miss knowing that even just one hit could literally stop my heart. I went straight, and you can too. Just call this number. They can help you. Consider this. Cocaine is lethal. Quit while you can.
A message from HCA DePaul Hospital's New Life Center. Crazy Marty's Waterbeds introduces the Sona. Looks like a mattress, but is a waterbed. This new sleep system features a fine damask cover for long-lasting wear, nylon locking stitching, completely zipper top, double safety liners with tubular American vinyl. This system sells normally for $799.99, but right now you can buy it for only $349.99. 90 days, same as cash, no payments till next year. Lay away for Christmas now.
It's your Lincoln Mercury Mercure dealer's 1987 driving home clearance. It's a great time to make your best deal on every 87 in stock. Drive home a Sable LS and save over $1,900, or save over $2,000 on Cougar LS when you buy them with preferred equipment packages along with 1.9% financing. But hurry, the 1987 driving home clearance ends September 30th. See your Lincoln Mercury Mercure dealer.
Today's high-compression engines not only rev high, they can run hotter than regular small car engines. Their searing heat can begin to break down an oil immediately. That's why there's Castrol, the only leading motor oil that in every grade provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol before your engine does something to get you heated up. Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars.
Castrol, available at your local Zayre store.
Jewish people all across the city have begun ringing in their new year. At sundown today, the faithful gathered at synagogues for the start of the High Holy Days, one of Judaism's two major religious observances, Rosh Hashanah. Now, this is traditionally a time for renewal of faith and a period of atonement for sins of the past year. The solemn activities continue through sundown on October 3rd. That's when the day-long observance of Yom Kippur ends.
The first day of autumn, the fall equinox, as scientists call it. And more than just a sign that leaves will start turning soon, it is one of only 2 days in the year when the sun stands directly over the equator.
Then I get a falling crack.
And that's why at St. Dominic's School this morning, students were engaging in a most unusual experiment. They were balancing eggs.
This one here. This one right here.
Now, the popular theory is that on just this day and for just a few hours, you can balance an egg on end. The explanation seems simple enough.
It has to do with the position of the Earth and the Sun. It's a gravitational pull.
But the problem is, some say it's just not true.
Well, you can make it sound like it's plausible. You can make it seem like it's something to do with the sun and being in balance.
Dr. Ransom Marlowe, for example, teaches this astronomy class at Loyola, and he says the egg theory is just one big yoke.
Well, if you can balance an egg today, you can do it any day. And the sun, whether it's day or night or wherever the sun is, no, it doesn't have anything to do with it.
So just to check it out, we went back to St. Dominic's this afternoon, well outside of the prescribed egg balancing hours. And lo and behold. What does all of this tell us about the scientific theories behind egg balancing? Well, probably not a whole lot. The ground out there was kind of rough. I kind of think you can balance eggs there any day you want to. But maybe it does tell us something about people.
And if you notice, those of us that have been out here, as we move, as the Earth is moving and the sun is shining on a different position, the eggs have begun to tip.
Folks who study such things say the fact is sometimes people like to believe in somewhat magical traditions. And until someone proves it to be absolutely untrue, we may well keep balancing eggs in the first hours of each autumn. Tom Foreman, Eyewitness News, Night Watch.
I wonder if the Russians and Chinese were balancing eggs in the classrooms today.
En masse.
That's the news for this Wednesday, September 23rd. We thank you for watching.
Have a great day tomorrow, and good night.
Don't miss Winn-Dixie's 49-cent sale. Get a great deal on Salad Perfect Harvest Fresh Salad Tomatoes, now just 49 cents a pound. A 5-pound bag of Bayou Land long grain rice is only 49 cents. And pay just $1.49 a pound for WD Select Lean Fresh Whole Pork Loin. Winn-Dixie's 49-cent sale continues with large rolls of brawny paper towels for just 49 cents each. And a gallon of Arrow bleach is also just 49 cents at Winn-Dixie, America's supermarket.
as long as you can remember, it's been part of your dreams, part of your sunshines, and we suspect it always will be.
Coca-Cola's a part of your life. You can't beat the feeling.
It's your Lincoln Mercury Mercure dealer's 1987 driving home clearance. It's a great time to make your best deal on every 87 in stock. Drive home a Sable LS and save over $1,900. Or save over $2,000 on Cougar LS when you buy them with preferred equipment packages along with 1.9% financing. But hurry, the 1987 driving home clearance ends September 30th. See your Lincoln Mercury Mercure dealer.
Fatal Attraction. Gene Shalit of the Today Show calls it one of the most gripping.
Did you have an affair with her?
Chilling.
I'm not going to be ignored.
Romantic movies in years. And Joel Siegel of Good Morning America says it's a steamy, sexy, suspense-filled, sensational movie. Michael Douglas.
What if she didn't get it out of her system? What then?
Glenn Close. Fatal Attraction. Rated R. Now playing at a theater near you.
The Rockford Files, 11:05 tonight on Channel 4.
And now, with today's Channel 4 editorial, here is Phil Johnson.
Good evening. And hasn't it been fascinating to watch a United States Senator, slowly but ever so surely, day by day, speech by speech, commit political suicide? It is Senator Biden, of course, whom we are talking about, and the most monumental series of gaffes and goofs since Gary Hart invited reporters to follow him around to see if he was a womanizer. Now, some have called to complain about the press for picking on Senator Biden. A man should be allowed to make a mistake, they say. There's validity to that. No one's perfect. But the senator's fault is that he continues to make the same mistake almost every time he opens his mouth, whether he's using Neil Kinnock's or Bobby Kennedy's or anybody else's words as his own, or lying about his standing in his law school class near the bottom instead of the top 10%, or even about the number of undergraduate degrees he got. Such aberrations were not...
There are going to be some changes made. Gee whiz. Anyway, Joan Collins showed up.
Channel 8 Studios as Nightline examines what happens now in the NFL strike. Well, the prospects of a long strike have Saints fans asking questions about their tickets tonight. Call 8 reporter Monica Pierre has some answers.
Y'all want to strike? I'm on strike.
We met Charlie yesterday. He may or may not represent the feelings of Saints fans about the strike, but ticket holders do have a lot of questions about how the walkout will affect them.
You giving back refunds on tickets?
Okay, not at this point.
The makeup games or the other league games, let's say, are the prices of the tickets going to be the same? Or?
It'll be the same.
Stephen Cost was looking forward to going to the Saints-Falcons game.
I haven't been to a game in over 15 years. Stone Saints fan, but I finally decided to say I'm a pay to go see them. They go on to the Super Bowl and they strike.
This afternoon, when the National Football League called off this Sunday and Monday's games, fans had a lot of questions, like, I'm a season ticket holder. Can I get a refund? The answer is yes.
Well, season ticket holders have two options. They'd be able to get a refund for their tickets to Sunday's game or to take a credit which would be applied toward their 1988 account.
Question, suppose I don't want to see a game fielded by free agents. Can I still get a refund? The answer again is yes.
If the ticket holder chooses not to come to a game that is played by non-union personnel, we will refund their money. In the case of a season ticket holder, we'll either refund their money or apply that credit.
Individual game ticket holders can also get a cash refund for this Sunday's game. Monica Pierre, call 8.
If you have any further questions, call the Saints ticket office.
An unusually mild-mannered face-off between the two contenders for the Jefferson Parish President's office. Mike Yenni and Willie Hoff answered questions.
He's definitely in retirement with a tie like that, I think. We'll get to him in a second, though. You'll get your rebuttal here in a minute. Talks between owners and management recess tonight to end a third day of the NFL strike. They're set to resume at 9:30 Eastern Time tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, the two sides are as far apart as ever over free agency. According to the NFLPA Executive Director Gene Upshaw, they take all our issues and say they are union and not player issues. The numbers were the same, but the names had changed at David Drive today. It was a team of free agents that was utilizing the facilities at David Drive, getting acquainted with each other and the plays they intend to use a week from Sunday against the Rams. They weren't all strangers.
It's nice to have some players out there, though, that have been with us before, either with the Saints in our training camp, either this year or last year. There are 2 or 3 guys that were with the Stars, you know, and when we were in Philadelphia. And these guys, of course, have a little bit better knowledge of what we're doing than the other people.
Meanwhile, the real Saints got a chance to practice like they'd always dreamed. No pads, no whistles, no screaming coaches, and sunglasses were permitted. They were across the street, but it was hoped they'd soon be back where they belong.
All I can do is hope they get the strike settled. Hope that while they're on strike, that they're continuing to work out. And so that when they come back off of strike, if and when they come back off of strike, that they're prepared to play and win. And until that time, then I've got to spend all my concentration with the players that are here that we're working with.
It's the biggest game of the season, perhaps, for the LSU Tigers. Joe Amato caught the flavor of the week and a few co-eds' phone numbers on a visit to Baton Rouge this week.
The campus is buzzing. Brent Musburger is coming. The Ohio State Buckeyes are coming. National title on the line. When the Tigers went to Texas A&M, they were a very confident team, very relaxed. This time there's more at stake, so there's a little more tension in the air.
It's the biggest game we've had so far, like I said, and people are not so sure we're going to win this one. Tougher team.
Tougher team. You're a little worried, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, kind of.
I teach environmental studies.
Have you noticed your students a little distracted this week because of the big game?
Well, they seem distracted by most of the games that go on here.
Big game week means getting your hair cut if you have a date for the game and stocking up on all the LSU t-shirts and pennants you can get your hands on. Hey, what do you have here?
Boxer shorts.
Boxer shorts. This is the hot selling item, isn't it? Mm-hmm. What are you going to wear these to the game, or?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
Jim, I know when you broadcast the Saints games, you want to look just like this for the big game. The Tigers will need receiver Wendell Davis to steamroll Ohio State, but he has sore ribs, got hurt last week.
He still hasn't been cleared by the doctors and probably won't be until game time, so we put him in an orange shirt and we had him standing out here watching.
Wendell Davis is doubtful for Saturday. And if all that's not enough, leave it to running back Harvey Williams to stir things up when he said that he didn't think the Buckeye linebackers were that tough. Just another week in Tiger Town. Joe Amato, Eyewitness Sports, Night Watch.
The Toronto Blue Jays put a half game 3-2, and the Astros were eliminated from the race as the Braves beat them in Atlanta tonight 8-7. Well, Archie Manning is our guest, and this Sunday against Atlanta, you would have been honored at halftime. And do you think this whole strike and the postponement of the game is a sinister plot to deny you of that singular honor?
I don't think so. A friend of mine, a reporter in Jackson, called today, and he said he thought it was only fitting, after reviewing my career, that the day they were going to pay tribute to me, that the game got canceled.
Well, maybe they'll make it up at the end of the year. We can only hope. The players, you went through it in '82, and you were a player for a long time. What are the players, the veterans, feeling right now?
Well, it's a strong bond in football, and the players are together. And I think we on the outside, many of us have played football, we forget what that's like. And I think that's what really keeps the players together, and they feel very strongly about what they're doing. I don't really understand, though, because I think the union meetings, they're getting information that maybe we aren't getting, and the owners are saying free agency is the key issue, and a lot of players are saying it's not the main issue. So I really don't understand that.
Would you have struck over free agency if that were the big demand?
Again, I'm on the outside now, and it's hard to say. I think now I'd say I wouldn't. I don't think the majority of the players really want to strike over free agency. And I guess I could say that as being a quarterback, I was in a position that maybe a quarterback could take more advantage of it. But I think it's the other things, and I really thought in this meeting the last couple of days that maybe the players were going to come off of free agency and really benefit through the other things that they're asking for, but that wasn't the case.
Apparently they can't even get past the free agency issue and move on to some of these other things.
I just don't understand it, though, because many players are saying free agency is not the key issue. Stram said that's all they've talked about so far.
Real quickly, when will the players miss a paycheck? When will they really feel this strike?
Well, possibly this week they'll miss a paycheck. I really don't think they're going to feel it, though, until next Tuesday or Wednesday. If talks are going on then, I'm optimistic. I hope it can be settled, because if they just miss this one game, it can be made up. But if it goes past next Tuesday and Wednesday, miss a second game, then they really are going to miss paychecks.
And that could be a very crucial time. Garland, Angela?
Thank you, Jim. I'm using my Saints pin here, get them back on the field. In Ponchatoula this weekend, the Ponchatoula Country Market, it's an arts and creative craft show.
Trying to persuade every union member not to cross the football players' picket line. Just as we have asked football players over the years, and they have honored it, not to cross picket lines of other unions. That's the way we operate in unions, and we will expect all union people to do that. It would affect those that are in maintenance, those that in many cases who do the serving in the domes, those who clean up the dome, affect everybody there that's in the unions.
While the real McCoy Saints practice alone at Mike Miley Park, the word spread that it now looked like the strike would be a long one.
If this thing drags out, then you might find that some players are going to cross the line. You know, we'll just have to see what happens. And, you know, I'm not saying that I won't either, you know, if this thing goes a long time and it seems like that maybe it's free agency that's causing the problem, then, you know.
Meanwhile, Jim Mora worked to get his new team ready for a game in 10 days against the Rams. Marcus Merrick summed up the feeling of many of the new Saints.
What I'm doing now, I don't know if it's morally or ethically right, but the thing about it is I love the game, and, you know, it gives me another opportunity out.
A new Saints team made up of free agents, and who knows, maybe even a free agent replacement for Gumbo. It's going to be a crazy season. In baseball, a showdown series began tonight in Toronto, the Blue Jays and Tigers. Early on, bad news for the Blue Jays. Bill Madlock goes into Tony Fernandez.
They'll work something.
Well,
Any movement?
Well, what's happening now, the NFL owners offered to table the free agency issue, which is really the stumbling block.
Meaning we'll put it off.
Table that, yeah. Play football, talk about the other issues. The players said no. They broke off talks tonight. They're meeting tomorrow, George. And while the strike continues, the pseudo-Saints will wear the fleur-de-lis and work out at David Drive. And while I was watching today's afternoon practice, I noticed some fuss through the fence on the far side of the field, and I checked it out from the other side. I found Bill Kontz and Bobby Hebert peeking in. You couldn't stand it, could you? Huh? Yeah, you couldn't stand it. You had to see him, didn't you?
What?
You had to see him, didn't you?
Yeah, we all looking out here. You know, why not?
What kind of athlete you think they can get in there?
I don't know. You know, obviously, Jim Finks has tried to assemble the best possible people available. So you just got to understand that other guys that didn't make NFL clubs or that were out there floating around, they just chose the cream of the crop of whatever was left.
Well, we were all kind of curious to see what those guys looked like, and I can tell you what, it wasn't anything worth $19 to see. Of course, this is the night for the coach, Hank Stram, and naturally, the subject was strike, and I asked him if this NFL walkout was different from the one in 1982.
It is only because several key players, Randy White of the Dallas Cowboys and Mark Gastineau of the New York Jets and some other people who are very prominent have broken the picket line, and so right off the bat it's different than it was in 1982.
As a coach now, could you picture yourself coaching free agent teams? I mean, could you put your heart into something like that?
Well, very frankly, I did this in 1974, and it's totally different because you have a lot of players who don't have any experience whatsoever, but they have a great deal of enthusiasm, a great deal of animation, and from that standpoint, it was fun to see the enthusiasm that they expressed about having the opportunity to play professional football.
Okay, so free agents are on the team, but free agency seems to be the stumbling block, the key issue in this whole thing. Is free agency realistic?
No, I don't really think it is. I just don't think you have to start in an orderly process, and you have to understand what really is going on, and you have to understand that you have a philosophy and you have a system, and the system has worked all these years, plus the fact that it's a proven fact that in the event that players had the opportunity to go elsewhere from where they were initially drafted, you know, everybody would probably want to play in Miami. They'd like to go to San Francisco. They'd like to go to Los Angeles. They'd like to go to New York City, maybe New Orleans, because of the great city that it is. But basically, you know, who's going to want to go to Green Bay? Who will want to play in Buffalo, for example? And this doesn't mean, I don't mean to be demeaning toward those particular cities, but facts, those are facts of life. And so it would really be a very big problem.
You see this being a long-term deal, Hank?
I got a call from a dominant figure in the National Football League 2 days ago, and he said, don't worry about it. It'll be over in 2 days. Now 2 days have passed, and it's not over. Now they're talking about 6 to 8 weeks. So very frankly, I really don't know. I just can't imagine. I don't know how in the world it could go on for an extended period of time.
Well, high school football's not on strike, and tonight Carver went 4-0 on the year, beating Abramson 7-0. John Ehret 40-20 over East St. John. Baseball now in the American League East. The race went head-to-head tonight. Toronto Blue Jays against the Tigers, and it was Toronto on top, 4-3. They're a game and a half in front now in the American League East. Flanagan wins that one for Toronto. Can you believe it? Viola, a lot of that shutout. Minnesota over Texas, 4-zip. Boston, Milwaukee tied at 6 in the 7th. Chicago leading Oakland 1-0 in the bottom of the 3rd. And it looks like a push tonight in the National League East because Montreal's beaten by New York Mets in the bottom of the 9th. But Pittsburgh came back with 2 runs, and it looks like they're going to do it to St. Louis. So it's still 2.5 games separating the Mets from the St. Louis Cardinals at the top of the East. It was Cincinnati 5-4 over San Diego. Philadelphia 3-2 over Chicago in 11. And Atlanta did it 8-7 to Houston.
We'll put that one in the book. Just because weekend football and the Race Fest are off doesn't mean you can't find teamwork here in New Orleans.
We'll take you to the finish line of an unusual race when News 8 New Orleans Tonight continues.
Ordinary water is just fine for ordinary things, like washing the car, doing the laundry, watering the lawn. And that's about 99% of what you do with water. But when it comes to the most important things, drinking, cooking, making ice cubes, your family needs something better than ordinary water. Kentwood, one of the good things you do for your family.
Kentwood spring water, it's a natural.
It's year-end clearance sale time at Bailey Mazda with huge savings on many 87 Mazda cars and trucks. Buy a luxury edition pickup with air conditioning and chrome wheels for only $89.95. See Bailey's selection of special edition RX-7s with air conditioning, sunroof, and stereo for only $14,863. Save $2,000. And now, buy a 4x4 truck at the unbelievable price of $79.95. Don't wait. Inventories are limited during this once-a-year clearance sale at Bailey Mazda in New Orleans.
Sherman Bernard claims to be a watchdog for consumers, but the New Orleans Times-Picayune says instead of protecting us from dubious characters, the state insurance department continues to protect the flim-flam men of the industry. Some watchdog.
Let's elect a new commissioner of insurance, Doug Green. He is committed to protecting the consumer.
This is the letter you weren't supposed to see. The New Orleans AFL-CIO has endorsed Mike Yenni because he pledged his willingness to work towards expanding financial resources and certain revenue-raising measures. That's double talk for taxes, higher taxes, property taxes, earnings taxes, more taxes. What else has Mike promised them? Unionized parish employees, the right to strike? Mike Yenni for Parish President? We can't afford it.
The prescription called for fun today outside the Tulane Medical Center. The future doctors of the world were the ones taking the medicine. The med students found a unique way to race down Tulane Avenue from Elk Place to the LSU Medical Center. As their hospital beds went flying by, spectators cheered wildly. The whole thing was for a good cause to raise money for the United Way. Some of the guys were fast, Margaret, who knows, they may be tempted to try out as wide receivers, one of those substitute NFL teams or something.
Heck, I might try out as a wide receiver for one of those NFL teams.
You might make it, too. Really.
Well, the Mississippi River can be a pretty pleasant place to be.
About tomorrow on News 8 New Orleans at 5, you'll learn why there may be danger lurking on the riverfront.
And that players argued with fans they were being replaced in the locker rooms by free agents. Signs of management's unwillingness to shut down football because of the union strike stand. They're also called scabs by union players, but for many, it's one last shot at the NFL.
Well, it's just a good opportunity to get some exposure and to get some pro people looking at you. And it doesn't, you know, if it comes to a game, you know, it's important for the team to put the game's going to count. So it's important for them to get a team on the field. But other than that, it's just for exposure.
4 of these people out of this room, 4 of the people out of this room right here are going to break the lineup after the strike is over. 4 of them are going to be on this team, and I would like to be one of them.
To be honest with you, I'm a little upset about it. I mean, these guys all had their chance, you know, when August started and they all could go to camp, and all of them were in camps and they got cut. And hopefully this strike isn't going any more than a week. You know, if they couldn't prove it in 6 weeks, they can't prove it in a week. And I just hope to God that they're not here when we do get back, because I think there could be some serious problems for these people.
Striking players continued to show their disapproval of being replaced by scabs on this day 3. The Los Angeles Rams hurled eggs at the strikebreakers. In Anaheim, a player put his fist through the driver's side of a van carrying a free agent. Now, while many strikers don't condone violence on the picket lines, the sad fact is it can be expected.
Nobody's happy with any kind of destruction, but it's just a way of people venting their frustrations. Like I said, they were shooting people when the Teamsters went on strike, and they had the scab drivers. They were either shooting them on the highway. So, you know, things like this happen.
I'm Eric Clemens reporting for ESPN.
You know, for years, the image of a pro football player has been one of a very large, rather superficial person who gets his kicks and paychecks by hitting other very large, rather superficial people. The truth is, many of the men who are walking the picket lines are well-meaning, intelligent, thought-provoking, and even charming young men, which is why it is so sad to see many of those young men reduced to the level of throwing eggs and epithets at guys just trying to make a living. Tough way to change your image, guys.
As we all know, Week 3 of this season is lost, but owners still plan to reopen play in Week 4 using the free agent players. The irony here is obvious as free agency holds up an agreement. Now, there will be some familiar names along with the players, in addition to people like Mark Gastineau, Randy White, and Mark Wilson, who have crossed teammates' lines. There are some names coming back who you might recognize. Greg Hawthorne, the tight end, who'll try out for the Colts. He started for the Patriots last year. Elvis Patterson. You remember Toast, who was cut by the Giants after Week 1. He's with San Diego now. Tom Cousineau, who was a tremendous player in the Canadian Football League with Montreal, formerly of the Browns, and he's with the 49ers. Vince Evans, former quarterback with the Bears, with the Raiders. John Reeves, quarterback with the Bucks, formerly of the Eagles. And Kevin Sweeney, the NCAA career passing leader, will be with the Dallas Cowboys. Now in Buffalo, the Bills have one of the league's highest paid players on strike in quarterback Jim Kelly. His replacement? Insurance salesman Mark Miller, a former Colorado State quarterback. Miller has a history of shoulder trouble and was released by Denver after an injury in training camp last year. That's going quite away from Jim Kelly, who probably has a Lloyd's of London policy out on him, to a guy who's selling those policies.
And the way some of these guys in the picket line are acting, he may need some insurance on his person. It's very...
No, not a warehouse sale.
Not an inventory sale. Put these men to work.
No, not an off-season sale.
LAS has an offer so exciting, we can't wait for the off-season. Business is great, and we're passing the savings on to you.
LAS is offering 50% off foam core insulation and insulated glass.
This is a limited offer. Call now.
Super savings and a free gift with the estimate. Call now, 887-1515.
Out here, success means getting your product to market first. So it helps if you're closer to market in the first place. At Marshall Durbin, we raise our young, tender chickens right here in the Deep South, and in most cases get them to market in 4 hours or less. So to the question, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Around here, we like to think it's the chicken. Marshall Durbin, the freshest chicken going.
As an assistant district attorney, Art Lentini has worked hard to keep dangerous criminals out of Jefferson Parish neighborhoods. A graduate of the U.S. Army Infantry Officers School, a magna cum laude graduate of LSU, and endorsed by the Alliance for Good Government, Art Lentini is the kind of bright, competent person we need as sheriff.
The people of Jefferson deserve more than they're getting from the sheriff's office. I want to protect my family and the people of Jefferson. That's why I'm running for sheriff.
Art Lentini, sheriff.
At LensCrafters, over 95% of all prescriptions are completed in 1 hour. 95%. Because LensCrafters has a complete lens grinding laboratory right here in the store, with everything needed to custom grind even the toughest prescription. Listen.
LensCrafters did it in about an hour.
45 minutes. Just about an hour.
Because the lab's right on the spot.
LensCrafters, quality eyeglasses in about an hour. In the Esplanade and Kenner upper level near Macy's.
Prime Times, Mondays at 5 on Channel 4.
Tonight on 4th Down on 4, a footballless Sunday in the fall. LSU is fit to be tied with Ohio State. Tulane's Terrence Jones says catch me if you can, and a music video echoing fan feeling on the NFL strike.
4th Down on 4 is brought to you by Superior Acura, McDonald's, and New York Life. Now let's join Chris Myers.
All right, good evening all, and hello once again, everybody. It was kind of an awkward feeling today.